I thought Whole Cake Island surely couldn't get any better after the first half of the arc, but similarly to eating a cake, the last bites are even better than the first. This video, like my other One Piece blind review, is fairly lengthy, so grab your slice of cake, drop a subscription if you haven't already, and enjoy my thoughts on the last half of Whole Cake Island. Picking up from where we left off, we were introduced to Sweet Commander KATAKURI, and the plan to crash the wedding was set in place. However, not in the style of Owen Wilson and Vince Vaughn. Sanji prepared his pseudo-wedding and continually had to remind himself of Pudding's true intentions, despite her appearance and sweet demeanor. The wedding begins very typically, and as time came for Pudding to lift her veil for Sanji to kiss her, Sanji now for the first time sees Pudding's third eye. To Pudding's shock, he calls it beautiful. This is the first time Pudding has been complimented on her third eye and genuinely appreciated for it. A flashback takes place with Big Mom and her siblings shaming her for her appearance her entire life, and this moves Pudding so much she breaks down and cries as for the first time she's been found beautiful for who she truly is. Oda's depiction of realistic characters is continually profound. Despite characters seeming perfect, everyone, just like in real life, has their flaws, their insecurities, and things they're ashamed to show to others. I find this storytelling extremely relatable and one of the many things I love about One Piece. There's another character who embodies this writing style, but we'll talk about them further later on throughout the video. Due to Pudding breaking down in tears after Sanji's response, the plan to kill Sanji was delayed, and as a result it was left to the responsibility of the priest. However, KATAKURI saw in the future Sanji dodging the shot by the priest, and he takes it upon himself to shoot a jelly bean at Sanji, and Sanji dodges this as well and shoots KATAKURI a mean-ass glare. This feat of Sanji speed-wise is pretty nuts in retrospect, being able to sense both the shot and be able to react accordingly versus someone the caliber of KATAKURI. Due to this speed feat, I feel in my head canon of what will come later in this story. Sanji facing off versus a very fast admiral within Kizaru, which I think would be an amazing fight. With the sound of gunfire, Luffy emerges from the wedding cake with all of his animal duplicates as well, thus ensuing the greatest wedding crash of all time. During the chaos, Luffy is detained by KATAKURI's Mochi Mochi ability, and our future helmsman Jinbei saves Luffy from this, which leads to one of the greatest moments in One Piece thus far. Jinbei tells Big Mom directly he wants to leave her crew and was willing to give his lifespan to let his crewmates be safe from her wrath. Big Mom attempts to take his lifespan, but the gimmick of the Soro Soro no Mi is that she can only take all of someone's lifespan if the individual fears Big Mom, and Jinbei has no fear, thereby nullifying her devil fruit. Jinbei stands before an emperor with no ounce of fear, because at the end of the day, how could he fear a mere Yonko when he sails with the man who aims to become the king of pirates? Chills again, man. I'm telling you, this story is incredible. Brooke ends up breaking the picture of Caramel, and this leads to Big Mom being unsure whether to enter her full crises mode due to the picture breaking or the cake being destroyed. While all this transpires, many fights take place. Sanji versus Daifuku, Pedro versus Oven, and our Vinsmokes minus Sanji are all restrained due to Perospero's candy, and they were held at gunpoint unable to escape. Judge Vinsmoke laments and weeps due to this catastrophic failure and betrayal by Big Mom, while his sons show no emotion at all, and Raiju accepts her fate. Despite my dislike of the Vinsmoke sons, it was pretty badass to see them express no emotion at death, which obviously they didn't express it because they were genetically modified to do so, but seeing Judge weep and lament as his failure comes to light really did make me smile because he got what's coming to him. Big Mom was eventually shown the broken picture of Caramel, and this resulted in her no longer being unsure about what to be upset about. She then fell to her knees, unleashed Conqueror's Haki, and incapacitated a lot of the Big Mom pirates. While she screamed, Sanji in a phenomenal scene appears on the table after breaking his family out of their confines, and he smokes a cig casually. This then takes us back to Big Mom's backstory. The backstory of Charlotte Linlin was much darker than I could have anticipated personally. Big Mom, who was abandoned at age 5 on Elbaf by her parents due to her being such a destructive entity where she grew up, she was eventually taken in by Mother Caramel, who founded a children's orphanage for children of all races and upbringings to live together in harmony at. Mother Caramel was accepted and loved by the Giants after she saved several Giants from execution, pleading for them to be saved and that they're redeemable. We get to see lots of Giants during Big Mom's childhood, notably Hajrudin, who we met in Dressrosa, and he's now part of the Grand Fleet. Every year, the island of Elbaf would fast for days on end for a winter solstice festival, and Big Mom, only a few days into the fast, lost control seeking one of the desserts within Selma, and she destroyed a majority of their village and killed a former leader of the Giants in the process until her craving was satisfied. Despite it being 63 years later, the inability to control herself and her mind once her hunger pains hit. Big Mom, despite being so young, was obviously large, but not giant level by any means, yet her strength was that of a god of destruction with immense and formidable strength, just as a child. The giants aiming to kill Big Mom in retribution were quelled by Mother Caramel, who subdued the fire with the soul fruit, and she pleads with the giants to spare Big Mom due to her being a child. They were banished from the island, but no corporal punishment, and Mother Caramel, Big Mom, and the rest of the kids re-established a new orphanage on a new nearby island. Things seemed lovely and cheery at the new place, with Lin growing in acceptance from her adopted siblings as they were no longer as scared of her as they were previously. These cheery feelings are juxtaposed with Mother Caramel meeting with the world government, and despite her outward appearance and demeanor of a saint, she was rather a child trader and would trade the government children to go work in the military for a big paycheck. She was planning to give Big Mom to the government as she believed Big Mom could rise in power and become even a fleet admiral, resulting in a great power source for the world government's military. Before this takes place though, Lin has her 6th birthday where her siblings and mom are all together giving gifts and wishing her a happy birthday. They surprise her with her favorite dessert within Selma. As Big Mom basks in the joy of her favorite food with her favorite people, tears come from her eyes, tears of pure joy, and she eats and eats and eats. And this is where I had to reread the chapter several times. Big Mom, while eating Selma in her gluttonous meal, not only ate the Selma, but she ate her siblings and her mother. Holy shit, Big Mom loses so much control in her eating and her gluttony that she ate her entire family. This is a really, really dark flashback. Due to her eating Mother Caramel as well, Big Mom now had the Soro no Mi devil fruit, which even added further to her tyranny of power. Only 2 individuals bore witness to this happening, a giant and her current head chef Streusen, and he saw this as an opportunity and convinced her into piracy. Oda finally answered my question on why the alliance was so important to Big Mom. The relationship of giants and Big Mom has forever been torn and the bridge long since burned due to her acts of terror, destruction, and evil. As a young girl with help from Streusen, she blossomed into piracy with no one able to stop her. Big Mom now aimed with her piracy for all races to have a seat at the table, eye to eye and be together. The dream of her deceased mother that she misinterpreted to mean that everyone would be the same size as her, which is a key motivation to why she wants that giant serum created by Caesar. Big Mom clearly is not the most intelligent and in fact seemingly stunted mentally in her growth, but she has no one to stop her for what she wants to accomplish. Despite Big Mom being a kid during this flashback, I truly didn't feel much sympathy for her at all. Yes, she's only 5 during the majority of the flashback, but her pure destruction and murder and lack of self-awareness and empathy made me very easily see her as someone for the most part unredeemable and someone worthy of being a true evil within this story. All characters, Big Mom included, seek their own version of truth in their dream. Hers, despite having smidges of altruism within, it is deep-rooted in desire to fill her sick fantasy by any means necessary. As the flashback ends, we're taken to the attempted assassination of Big Mom, which to no one's surprise didn't work. And Beige transforms into Big Father, which is a defense humanoid castle which now harbors our Straw Hats in Germa 6-6. While inside, Sanji has a poignant conversation with Judge after Judge asks why he saved them. Sanji's motivation is that he would never be able to face his father if he were to become such a monster that he could sit and watch his family die. And he tells Judge to admit to him that he is in fact not his father, rather that Zeph is. Judge agrees to never go to the East Blue and that he would back up their escape as penance. We get to see Germa fight, which for me was always pretty amazing throughout this entire arc, especially the latter half. We get to see them fight a ton. Their designs are intricate and their transformations are very Power Rangers-esque. They're actually really formidable. I'm not sure in terms of power scaling, as I'm not the best power scaler, but they seem really freaking strong. Their bodies are essentially impermeable to bullets, so they can casually tank fire. Raiju can casually be in like the hardest of poisons, so really strong to say the least. The plan was for Straw Hats and Beige to escape while Germa defended, but Raiju on the brink of death by Big Mom's Prometheus, Sanji and Luffy leave Beige's defense and protect Raiju, a moment that showed the compelled nature of Luffy and Sanji to protect, especially within the best girl of Raiju, which you know I'm a huge fan of. Our Straw Hats, Germa, and Beige were suppressed pretty fast, and all hope seemed pretty lost until the Tamate box explodes, causing Whole Cake Castle to fall over. This allowed for our friends to make an escape as they've accomplished their goal, minus the assassination of Big Mom. Big Mom, now angry and hungry, goes into one of her famous hunger pangs and begins to rampage. Her rampage was directed by Perospero by telling Big Mom the Straw Hats were in possession of her desired wedding cake, which ensues the long chase of Big Mom hunting down the Straw Hats in pursuit of the wedding cake as she would chant continually. As Beige and the Straw Hats go their separate ways, Pudding arrives and informs Beige and Chiffon her desire to make the wedding cake to stop Big Mom's destruction, and that she would need Sanji and Chiffon's help to do so. putting swans over Sanji, but her personality towards him switches from utterly evil to the equivalent Sanji would act towards an attractive woman. I found this bit that ensues throughout the rest of the arc to never get old, and rather quite endearing, as we can see as an audience how much she cares for Sanji, yet unable to express herself the way she wants to. Chiffon agrees to the request, as it is one thing to simply thank Nami and the crew for protecting and taking care of Lola, but it is another thing entirely when she can directly take action to show her thanks. One Piece is really hitting us with the facts on how to be a good person. I'm telling you, you can replace any religious text with One Piece and you will get all the morality you'll ever need. Our Straw Hat group splits up with Chopper and Brook going to the Shark Submarine, and the rest of the Straw Hats going towards the seducing woods with the help of King Bomb once again. Big Mom, flying on Zeus in her fit of hunger, was able to catch up to our Straw Hats and use an ability called Ikoko Sovereignty, which we can see the Giants use previously throughout the story, and she wipes out a large part of the forest. Before Big Mom's second attack, Best Girl Nami feeds Zeus some thundercloud balls in a surprisingly cute scene of Nami making Zeus the Cloud extremely happy and satiated. However, in a surprisingly heartfelt death, King Bomb is incinerated by Prometheus, and in retaliation, Zeus with weather balls inside of him swelled up with huge storm energy, and Nami forced him to discharge, hitting Big Mom and her crew with a giant lightning bolt. Big Mom was put in a crater, but to no one's surprise, despite taking damage, was able to get back up and continue chasing them. Something pretty notable is that Big Mom took damage from Nami. This is a huge feat, as almost no one has been able to ever harm Big Mom in her entire life. The potentiality of Zeus and Nami's relationship really excites me, as Zeus submits to Nami later throughout this arc. Zeus I find really cute, and it's a perfect accessory to Nami's weather toolkit to fight and support with. Pudding eventually arrives and gets Sanji to go with her to make the cake, and our crew continues towards the Sunny. The first to arrive to the Sunny are Brook and Chopper, who find the Sunny had been invaded by chess soldiers through the Mirror World, Perospero, and Katakuri additionally on the ship. Our Soul King and lovely reindeer fight, but to no avail, they're both defeated by Perospero's candy. The Straw Hats emerge on the beach, and they're met with Katakuri and Perospero, who causes a giant candy defense wall to inhibit them from reaching the Sunny. Luffy uses Red Hawk to destroy this, and I just want to note, out of all the Red Hawk abilities so far, Luffy's voice acting in this was by far my favorite. We can even hear the pitch change at the end in a visceral yell. I'm a huge sucker for great audio, and hearing and watching this animation was beautiful. In some death foreshadowing, Pedro tells Carrot not to be frightened, but that the Straw Hats could be the very people that the Kazuki clan and Mink have awaited for centuries, and that one day she'll understand why saving the Straw Hats was so important. Pedro takes it upon himself to free the Sunny from Perospero's candy by fighting Perospero directly. In this scene that once again made me shed a tear, we see a flashback to Pedro meeting Roger, who informed Pedro that everyone has their time. Pedro's pirate crew was named the Nox Pirates, translating to Dawn Pirates, which embodies what Pedro awaited. Pedro came to this island because he wanted to usher in and protect the new dawn that was arriving to this world, and the new dawn he believed was the Straw Hats. Pedro does not die by Perospero, but instead uses his own lit cigarette to explode himself and damage Perospero, allowing the Sunny to no longer be inhibited. The scene was breathtaking. Knowing that Pedro had full faith that the Straw Hats have been awaited for centuries has so much grandiose lore behind it with just those words alone that it makes me want to know more and more about the origins of the Kazuki clan and the Mink people. As Pedro's sacrifice happens, Luffy instructs the rest of the crew to use the coup de burst and to not let Pedro's sacrifice go to waste. Luffy says he'll be back, he leaves the rest of them, and he goes into the mirror, bringing Katakuri along with him to protect his crew. The embodiment of a captain, risking his life, taking on the monstrous challenge of the perfect man, and without fear facing him alone in order to protect those he holds most dear. Luffy throughout the story has continually grown more and more into an adult, into a fully fledged captain who will surely become the king of pirates. Once entering the mirror world, Luffy breaks the mirror, preventing Katakuri from re-entering the ship and stopping his crew from escaping. This ensues the greatest battle of One Piece thus far for me. But I'll first discuss what happens outside of the mirror world so I can talk about Luffy vs Katakuri in all one train of thought. Because as Luffy fights Katakuri, all these other things go on and I don't want to jump back and forth. As our Straw Hats escape, we see them mourn Pedro's death, but Jinbei, who always gives very deep and profound statements, tells them not to mourn. This death was rather Pedro's victory. He came with the intent of dying and dying with the cause, that they should celebrate his victory and that the battle was far from over as we see Big Mom and her pirates still in pursuit. They contact Luffy and tell him to meet at 1 a.m. on Cacao Island, which was their final talk with Luffy before the rest of the chase began. Jinbei thankfully navigates the Straw Hats, and time again he demonstrates his mastery of the sea and currents while Big Mom is in hot pursuit. Pudding, Chiffon, and Sanji, while in Cacao Island, begin to assemble the wedding cake to stop Big Mom's rampage, and throughout their cooking interaction, Pudding continually swans over Sanji once more as they rush to make the cake all within a few hours. We run into Pound again, who unfortunately was stopped by Oven, who entered the island, and he was beaten pretty badly. As they leave to go transfer the cake, Oven assaults Chiffon for being involved in the assassination plot, which results in Pound trying to save his daughter again, but to no avail. Oven uses a transponder snail to contact Beige and ask him to surrender, and this leads to an amazing scene with Beige, despite being a ridiculous distance away, he shoots Oven right in the face in retaliation to him threatening his wife. Beige and his crew then allow the cake to be on board their own ship along with Chiffon, Sanji, and Pudding. Oven, despite being shot in the face, is still able to strike back at our friends as our friends sail away on the Nostra Castello as he begins to boil the water, which seems super powerful. I'm not a huge science person, but logistically being able to boil ocean water hundreds of yards out from the shore seems a little powerful to say the least. However, he's stopped by Pound once more, and based on the final attack from Oven in response, I presume he's dead. I'm disappointed Pound never got to be fully reunited with his daughter, but he seemed at peace with seeing her happy and seeing his grandchild. As our Straw Hats continue their flee, Carrot activates her Sulong form, which is evoked by staring into the moon, which resulted in not only a beautiful transformation, but an extremely powerful one. This Sulong transformation just forebodes of the eventual fight that I'm sure will transpire with Master Cat Viper and Duke Dogstorm getting their vengeance on Jack for what they did to their people. Big Mom continues towards the Sunny, and panel by panel we can see the gradual changes in Big Mom, particularly by her growing skinnier and more frail as time passes without her eating. I thought this was a really cool visual done by Oda just to show us how badly these hunger pains are for Big Mom. Once Big Mom reaches the ship, it looked doomed for our Straw Hats, but Brook once again has an amazing moment. He asked to see Big Mom's panties, and he slices through Zeus, causing her to fall down, and he brings back Zeus with him. Nami tells Zeus that she wasn't trying to befriend him, but rather she is telling him to be his servant or die. I loved this scene because Nami can express this dichotomy of being sweet and innocent while simultaneously being someone entirely fear-inducing and ruthless. Brook's comedy bit of asking for panties has consistently made me laugh as well, especially in serious moments with them on the brink of death. His desire to see women's underwear never ceases to surprise me. Eventually Sanji arrives to the Sunny, and thereby the cake does as well, getting Big Mom off their back while Beige goes to deliver the cake to Fluff Island, and Sanji goes with Pudding to help Luffy's rescue. Now we finally get to the part we've all been waiting for. Luffy versus Katakuri. Katakuri seemingly possesses every ability Luffy can do with his Gomu Gomu no Mi, but even better. Not only does his Devil Fruit match Luffy's, his Haki surpasses his as well. Katakuri's advanced observation Haki is so strong that it can see directly into the future, resulting in him being fairly impenetrable. All the opponents Luffy has fought thus far throughout the story have been strong, but never being a direct parallel to Luffy in terms of ability. The majority of the fight is spent with Luffy frankly getting his ass kicked. We learn that Katakuri has never been on his back since being born. He's the perfect human, always confident, strong, intelligent, and cold. I personally didn't know that laying on your back was a sign of weakness, but now I definitely know, and I feel very beta as a result. Katakuri grew impatient due to his snack being late, and he traps Luffy in a pile of mochi that incapacitates him. He then constructs a temple made of mochi, in which the chefs say he meditates with the gods of war and doesn't even allow himself to relax while eating, instead of focusing his energy and thinking ahead. Oda goes to lengths to show us the seriousness of Katakuri and his unwavering spirit of being the perfect human. However, Luffy escapes the mochi imprisonment and breaks down his temple, and we find the perfect human laying on his back, eating donuts gluttonously with his mouth wide open. No one has ever seen Katakuri ever eat or lay on his back, and now here he is in an entirely vulnerable state to the eyes of the chefs, which results in Katakuri killing them so they'd never be able to tell anyone that they saw him in this unique state. Oda, despite portraying this perfect human, reminds us that although seemingly perfect, he is human, and humans thereby are flawed and have their insecurities and weaknesses. Katakuri's insecurity is the way he looks and eats. We see a flashback of him being made fun of as a kid, and it really goes to show the humanity that Katakuri has. We often see people and view them in our daily lives as perfect. But no matter how rich, attractive, or powerful someone is, at the end of the day, there are things within themselves that they aren't proud of, that they're embarrassed or insecure about. Fiction meeting reality is never more present here within Katakuri, and this is one of the reasons I love this fight and this character because of how much I can personally relate to it. Luffy, after throwing off Katakuri's mental, was able to hit Katakuri for the first time, but it's learned that observation Haki, for it to work effectively, mental composure was needed. This was the first sign of a moment of victory for Luffy as he learns that Katakuri isn't untouchable. He's just been able to move out of his way of each hit, not due to his Devil Fruit, but due to his advanced observation haki. Luffy, after running out of time on Gear 4, hops through the mirror world to stall until he can return. Once returning, Luffy was still on the losing side of the battle, but clearly through the fight he's able to further and further grasp this advanced observation haki, being able to see glimpses into the future similarly to Katakuri. The anime does a good job with tons of flashback to Luffy's training with Rayleigh and Luffy's development of observation haki. Rayleigh hints that due to Luffy being able to sense emotion, he has the potential for advanced observation haki. As hours passed, we're introduced to Flampe, the Clout Demon, and she shoots Luffy in the leg while in the midst of battle, causing him to lose focus momentarily, which causes Katakuri to land a potentially fatal blow on Luffy. Katakuri, sensing the striking difference in Luffy, finds Flampe due to her laughter, and he approaches her with immense wrath and anger, and he reveals his face, one of his biggest insecurities, and tells her if she wants to laugh at Luffy, then she should laugh at him too, and he proceeds to stab himself in the stomach, causing Flampe to run away and lose respect for her older brother. This moment here for me fully embodied why Katakuri is such a great antagonist. He has honor within their fight, and he feels disrespected by Flampe interfering and laughing at Luffy, who despite losing, has ceased to never give up and die. Rather, Luffy has fought for hours on end to match Katakuri and be a worthy opponent. I think Katakuri felt for Luffy being laughed at and made a mockery of because it reminded him of his own childhood. And being the Chad that Katakuri is, he willingly surrenders his status of being perfect to show that he too is worthy of her laughter. As Flampe flees, Luffy and Katakuri grow sick of the peanut gallery, and Luffy tells Katakuri they won't be able to stand before them anymore, and in arguably my favorite moment of the story thus far, I know I say that a lot, both of their conquerors' hakis clash. As mentioned, I've both read and watched this entire arc, and the anime for me did it better here. The music, the visuals of their hakis clashing, everything about it was perfect. After this clash, Katakuri tells Luffy he no longer views him as lesser and weaker than himself. The perfect man, the 1 billion bounty individual, admits that Luffy isn't some weakling. He's earned the respect of Charlotte Katakuri. Our future Pirate King has once more proved himself to those who thought he couldn't stand before them. As the fight continues, Luffy continually evolves his ability and prowess and eventually activates Gear 4 Snake Man, a variant of Gear 4 that focuses more on speed, which is able to counter Katakuri's immense speed and observation haki. Despite this transformation, it becomes a slugfest with no side shown to be clearly winning. In fact, Katakuri's voice acting when saying "it's over" was beautiful because he knew entirely that this fight was coming to a close, whether in defeat or victory. As they both knock each other out in a final attack between the two, they both faint with Katakuri falling face forward. Eventually Luffy rises half alive and Katakuri does short after. But he asks if one day Luffy will come to take down Big Mom, to which Luffy gives a hell yeah because it's on the path to become the Pirate King. In a touching moment, Katakuri tells Luffy that he's seeing very far into the future and falls on his back for the first time in defeat. This fight for me was the best fight of the series thus far. There's notable things within this fight that you can miss on the first watch or first read. Luffy and Katakuri will often finish each other's sentences or answer a question before a sentence is complete. This is due to the advanced observation haki both are so proficient in, and I didn't fully appreciate it until watching or reading a second time. Additionally, when the tides turned in Luffy's favor, Katakuri was hit extremely hard by Luffy, but rather than falling, he chooses to hit his head against the ground rather than fall on his back, fully demonstrating that he embodies what a perfect first commander is. This battle more than anything wasn't a battle Luffy won because he was more powerful or that he outsmarted Katakuri. Rather, this battle was a battle of attrition, and Luffy never gave up. For hours on end, Luffy took hit after hit, knowing that Katakuri was the obstacle to him from reuniting with his crew, but more importantly, becoming the eventual Pirate King. I really enjoy that Luffy didn't win because of pure power, but rather the guts to never give up. To my surprise, one of the individuals who rescues Luffy is Peckham's, who aimed to continue Pedro's dream and make sure Luffy was safe. Peckham's activates Sulong and helps Luffy escape out of the mirror to Cacao Island, in which the entire Grand Fleet and army of Big Mom pirates awaited. He's able to buy time as Sanji as well rescues Luffy, but they're surrounded and outnumbered, and to my utter shock, Germa 66 arrives and saves the day. As the brothers take turns saving Sanji and helping him escape, I couldn't help but think they now respected Sanji and viewed him as worthy, despite their words not saying it. Rather, their actions showed they were sorry. Raiju had a touching departure from Sanji, further making her a big candidate for best girl within One Piece, or particularly Whole Cake Island. This results in Sanji and Luffy finally being reunited with their crew as they make their escape due to the help of Germa and the Sun Pirates. The Sun Pirates have a touching moment with Jinbei, telling him that they had to make sure he makes it out, and they instruct the Straw Hats to flee. And rather than Jinbei fleeing, he tells Luffy that he can't leave his crew behind to let him take the rear guard. This results in an amazing scene with Luffy telling Jinbei that he would be waiting for him in Wano and not to die under any circumstance. Particularly within the anime, we hear Luffy's voice breaking when he screams out Jinbei's name. Jinbei! And as you can probably tell by now, I'm a huge sucker for inflection and emotion within characters. Although a badass departure, I hope Jinbei is reunited with his crew soon. I feel Jinbei has been continually apart from Luffy, so within Wano, I'd really like to see him arrive soon. Jinbei has had some phenomenal moments this arc, standing before Big Mom, declaring his allegiance to Luffy, and protecting both his new captain and his former crew within the Sun Pirates. Eventually, we see what happened within Pudding and Sanji's final interaction. Pudding's final request wasn't exactly a request, rather she kissed him and erased it from his memory. As mentioned in the last video, I hate when people lose memory of things, and it breaks my heart that Sanji won't remember Pudding kissing him. Pudding throughout this arc has gone from an individual I wanted Sanji to marry to a woman I despised, and now a woman I want Sanji to marry once more. Perhaps at another time in the story they can be reunited. I really do ship them together. Sanji truly accepted her, found her beyond beautiful, and treated her well, the first time in her life she was ever able to experience any feelings like this. In the mirror world, Broly tends to Katakuri's wounds, and Katakuri admits that this isn't the first time he's fallen on his back, and Broly informs Katakuri that she's always known that, which then ensues a backstory of Katakuri in which he was bullied as a child for his appearance, his mouth particularly, which is his biggest insecurity. His initial stance to hurt the bullies led to Broly getting extremely injured, and at this point in life, Katakuri decided he was too naive, that he would make them respect his perfection, and sought vengeance against those who would hurt his family. Katakuri's Conqueror's Haki was evoked during this vengeance, and his facial covering became something he'd wear from then on out. His Conqueror's Haki wasn't because he sought to be king or conquer nations. His Conqueror's Haki awoke due to his desire to protect those he cherished. A king awoke within him out of necessity and desire rather than grandiose ambition. As this story closes out, we see Morgans predict that one of the members of the worst generation will become Pirate King, and the newspaper reaches tons throughout the world. It reaches none other than Shanks himself, my favorite character within the story. Despite his limited screen time throughout the story, we can see that Shanks and Makino continually look after Luffy and hope for Luffy's success. As the newspaper reads, the 5th Emperor of the Sea emerges within Luffy taking the new spot with news of his grandiose achievement of wiping out Cracker and Katakuri, waging war on Big Mom, and forming new alliances under him including Beige Germa and his Grand Fleet. Luffy's story is now reaching its pinnacle. Him becoming an emperor, defeating a first commander. His aims now within the storyline is for him to now defeat a Yonko and free Wano of its reign of terror. As I begin Reverie and soon Wano, I am continually blown away by the intricacy of One Piece's story. The relatability and the entire envelopment of my mind into this fictional story is profound. Within perfection, there is flaw and insecurity.